Hey everybody, welcome back to more Wargame. Today we got a requested deck. By the way, you can always request a deck, just send me the deck code, and then eventually I'll probably get to it, or pay me, and then I'll almost certainly immediately get to it, because I'm a sellout. But yeah. A little deck sent in by a viewer. Entente Moto, which is a pet deck of mine, right? Usually I'm not a big Moto guy, but there's two Moto decks that I quite enjoy, one of which being Commonwealth Moto, the other one being Entente Moto. Especially Entente Moto is a decent bit different than, let's say, the meta Moto decks, those being specifically Blue Moto and Baltic Moto, both of which have very strong wheeled firepower in general, whereas this deck doesn't really have that. A lot of the strong stuff is tracked. Well, or it's the infantry itself. The infantry itself is very strong, which is standard for Moto, and honestly, you need strong infantry. But it doesn't have like wheeled autocannons, wheeled guns like that, right? Other than, stuff like this, which is just not very good. So let's see what deck we got here, or how this deck is built. Obviously, it got a buff, because a few buffs, but one of the big buffs being the basic 1 armor KBVT transports being 10 points since the Italy patch, so that helps, of course. So we got a card of Moto Strelzi in the OT64A. I'll be honest, I don't think it's a horrible card, and if the idea is to spam very cheap KBVTs, I suppose that is a way to do it. I don't really see a reason to do this when you, for 5 points more, you got Shock Squad, right? A Shock Squad that is just so much better in every regard. Having 700 meters on the AT weapon, even if you lose at 20 RPM, is so valuable. So I don't really think there's any reason to go for this. Visat 90, what is their role when we have Proletary 90, right? Their AT weapon is incredibly inflexible and also just frustratingly inconsistent. To be fair, it's not that bad when common veteran, but like having 525 meters range with 50% accuracy, when you can have more range, which also translates into a bit more accuracy at 500 meters, and double the rate of fire for 5 points more, right? You already pay like at least 30 points if you take the basic 10 pointers, so there's no reason to really take this card. I don't understand this, especially when you also have Palpranti 90 in the deck, right? Those should be the only two cards of infantry-based heavy AT you will ever need, so I do not understand the reason to take this, unless you want to meme around with the Malyutka, but then you don't need to take Visat Kari 90. So, thus far, this is my biggest criticism of this deck. Second one is, these two squads have incredible overlap. Two ridiculous rifle squads, one being Shock, one being Line with 15 men. I prefer like a Peroda, but Capesh are pretty solid as well, though. They have more survivability, more ammunition, right? More AP as well. You can take both. Both are fine. But they fill the same role. You definitely can take like a different kind of infantry instead of one of those. The other piece is, that's a bit personal, but I would never skip on the Druk squad. Although, to be fair, given the fact that they have to come in, unless you want to take them in the HT40, which you shouldn't do, have to come in a 15-point transport, there's definitely an argument to actually skip on them and just go for the Congress M, or even the base Congress if you want availability, right? Having to now pay essentially 30 points per squad as opposed to, 20 in mech is a huge deal. But this is a card that I just cannot defend in this deck. I don't see a reason to take them, especially because their infantry, like, weaponry is like identical too, right? Pretty much. So that is just a very questionable decision to me. Logistics is fine. Definitely not a fan of this over the 30-point truck when you have Fob, especially. Support two cards of supply-intensive artillery is certainly a choice, but maybe you just want to buy one of them, or maybe situationally you only need one. Also, AKM is good. Above 30, I prefer the above 3 for sure, and with 10 of them, you can definitely up with this. The above 3, by the way, has a high rate of fire, a good chunk higher rate of fire, in case you didn't know, which is why I prefer this, like for base defense and such. Not having an M1T, not having a Brachka. I wouldn't say they're must-haves, but worth considering for sure. And not a fan of the AM2B. I don't understand this choice. If you want to go for 80 gem, just go for Arcan. And the Igman is actually a very solid, like, all-round purpose tank. And for 5 points more, you get more speed, medium optics, more armor, a better gun. You lose the Bastion, which is by no means nothing. But actually having like a solid-ish workhorse tank as opposed to like a glorified Bastion carrier, big deal. Patton is good. That's a good squad. Brusco is fine. But when you have like two proper 10 HP squads, I personally prefer taking like a Kranijari just for cheapness, but it's whatever. M84N obviously is a must. Era is fine, Snezhka is good. That's not a good unit. This gun is trash. A lot of wasted potential not taking the Isvidyaj. Also not taking the Greyhound, which is, when you have the slots, definitely worth using. Even this can be okay, even though it only has 17 AP, but the stealth and 3 armor are nice. Even the Vidra nowadays could be a decent option now that it has 40% base accuracy and not 20. Pram obviously a must. Taking a Jackson and Praga over Polo and Rakitaj is a choice. Not the choice that I support. M35 is fine. Like good, honestly, like one of the best choices. We still would like to see the Gamma too. AirTap, not much to complain about except for the fact the 25k over the Gallop is not something that I can support. The 2 armor doesn't do much because you fly so low and you have only 1 rear armor with 10% ECM. It's the 25T survive. Like if you for some reason think, and I don't mean like the deck builder per se, but anyone, right? If anyone ever thinks that a 25k has similar survivability to like a 25T or an A10 is severely misinformed. Having 1 rear armor as opposed to 2 is a huge deal. In fact, I'd argue that the rear armor is more important than the front armor when it comes to surviving, but having only one of the two is a huge difference. Huge difference. Yeah. It has to fly very deep. The missiles, it's not a good plane. It's not a good plane. Well, okay, it's not. It by no means a better plane than the Super Galeb, right? Especially when you have like the Orao 2 for a quote unquote multi-role or like a fast, cheap-ish tanky leader, and then have your Galeb for the super heavies or something. I don't see the reason to take the 25k ever. Like in an unspec, this is not even in Marines, is it, right? In no Cat A on-taunt deck, unless you're playing Airborne, in my opinion, should you ever use the 25k. Because you always have the Orao 2 and the Galeb available. That is the unfortunate reality. The Galeb is so good that it just overshadows the 25k by so much. And the Orao 2 is great too. Which is of course a shame because, must-take units are awkward. And if the intent is to make me use units that I usually don't use, that's fine. But if the intent is to make like a really good on-taunt motor deck, well, this is my opinion. Either way, we're gonna play this deck, and I should see you in a second once we find the ranked game. Alright. Ooh, got a good map. Hold on, they're on my friend list. I don't even know who they are. I'm sorry. No offense. Hello. Hold on. Steam friends. Can I see them in the Steam friends? Who are they? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Okay, we got a good map. It's a good map for motor decks. I'm thinking. This isn't the best push usually because, especially against certain decks, and especially against certain openers, getting pushed out of here is, or vice versa, staying in there can be difficult. And honestly, you probably shouldn't do this with a deck that doesn't have good tanks. On the other hand, what if we go full in and try to get full control over feeder, right? Because if you got like getting control back of feeder as Elena is probably more difficult than getting control back of Ivan as Sheridan. But the problem is getting full control of feeder is very difficult. Honestly, like, I've played so much Wargame, too much Wargame. way too much wargame. I'm a lost cause. Why not go for it, right? Sure, I mean, it's a good chance it's not gonna work, but if it works, it just feels so good, right? I want a healer drop. I think it's important that we have. What do we have in healers even? Yeah, specialty. I think it's probably important that we get a drop in there. Problem is just if we get pushed here in the opener, especially with like lots of medium tanks or something, then we're probably gonna lose. But I don't care. I don't care enough. Honestly, maybe I'm not even gonna stop with those. Then again, we don't have man pads. I do want these for meat shield purposes. Padobranzi 90 are gonna be important. Britska or Lekka? They're more resilient. Probably let's go for Britska Pesh. A Pram is gonna be nice. A Mortar is probably really good too. 84 AN would be nice. I'm not sure if it's needed. Because we wanna like not sit here, right? We wanna like skip this part and try to get in here. And infantry is gonna be a lot more important. And having enough infantry is gonna be a lot more important in that regard. I'm just gonna get like a Snezhka and a Britska Pesh for here so we have something on the left. We don't need to buy you immediately. I didn't cancel anything here. No, I didn't. So we can definitely spend a little more than 30, a bit more than just 30 points additionally. We want some... They're not great, but they're still like cheap and wheeled guns. Maybe they can do something for us. I fully admit I don't believe in them. The other thing is they're apparently also downwetted if I see this correctly, which is even more mind-boggling. Like if you're using a unit that's already not great and not that useful, at least upweight it, especially when it already gets extra veterancy. Like why is basically nothing upweighted? Do I see this correctly? You literally upweighted nothing? Like outside of maybe some planes? This is upweighted. Like literally the only thing outside of L17K and Orao, which honestly doesn't really count. This is the only other thing that's upweighted. That is ugh. I don't know what to think. No, I do know what to think. That's stupid. I really. Well, now I gave away that we have an infantry CV, but it seems like our opponent does as well. I guess that's all fair and dandy. I'm gonna try to unload you. Actually, go deep in here. If that works, that'd be crazy. That's the mortar. You stay a bit behind. You stay there. Bakshin, bakshin, bakshin. I'm sorry. I don't even play that horse anime game. It's the worst part. I don't play it. And I have no intention of playing it. But it's just ridiculous. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's honestly better. That's a bow. It probably already spotted. Okay. Dribbling is DGC by the looks of it. Could be Dutch as well, to be fair. Oh, there's a push here that's... Well, okay, we're gonna have to abandon that. Okay, we're gonna have to abandon the MS-17 as well, because you're just gonna get the Tiger in there as well. Okay, we killed this, evac. And you out for the Tiger. We're gonna have to unload you there. Unfortunately, there's no way in hell that we're not gonna get destroyed here. Honestly, send some of these over to the... Let's hope we can just defend with most of this here. Padobranzi, you stay. You stay. Oh, drive down there, otherwise you're gonna die. Okay, I can't send him over to the left like that. They're just gonna get shot into the side there. You wanna make sure that you're firing it against on vehicles no matter what. Oh shit, that's bad. I did not pay attention to this. Am I gonna get like tank rush or some shit? What the frick? Alright. Oh my god, where's the worst L70K I think I've ever witnessed? Wow, okay. I lost all 3 L17s. That's a good start. Oh my god. Oh my god, am I gonna get really lucky here? Or still gonna die. I should buy this from our spawn though, because... Oh my god. No way! There's one hot 2 left. Oh! Come on, get the kill. There's rocket pods. Shit, get out of there. Come on. Routing, okay. Pure skill, pure skill. I don't even know what to buy. I don't have a thingy left. That is not an infantry CV. Oh, it's behind. It is an infantry CV, huh? Okay, interesting. I have to be careful. I think M35 should be enough. I didn't see a Gepard getting over there. I think it died on the way here. Oh shit, the tiger is back. I don't think it spotted my CV. It didn't look like it stopped having line of sight. Oh, it got spotted. It also Martyr 2s. Yeah, I want to place you like here, where you hopefully block line of sight, but can ambush whatever's coming down the road. There's still the autogun vehicle, so I actually want to be careful with the Mi-35. Do I have Palbranzi? I do have Palbranzi left. Let's just stay there in these bushes, I think. Let's wait until it fires, and then we're gonna move in with the Mi-35. Just making sure these vehicles are stunned or panicked at least. Bit shame that that this is barely out of range of the ATGM. So yeah, the panic. Okay. Come on, really? What a fucking disgrace, man. Was I lucky? Yeah, I was to an extent for sure. I was also really unlucky that SNK just didn't kill the tiger and even died to it. Okay. That was a game of all time. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I don't know what the heck that was, but I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye.